Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss The Purge Election Year, starring Frank Grillo, Elizabeth Mitchell, and Mykelti Williamson, and directed by James DeMonaco. Now, I remember seeing this in theaters on 4th of July weekend, or the night before 4th of July weekend began. And what did I think of it now versus then? I don't remember. Let's get right into it. I love the haunting opening of When a Man's Purge playlist is 20th Century Boy and Give Up the Funk, which, good songs by the way, and kills off a family with a daughter who turns out to be 18 years later is going to put an end to the Purge holiday, named Senator Charlie Roan, played by Elizabeth Mitchell, who's bland here like she is in those last two Santa Claus movies with Tim Allen. She's not the greatest actress. I do like when we see the new Founding Fathers of America. It was a good acted scene. We find out that Sergeant from last week's movie has a name, and what is it, might I add? It's Leo Barnes, returned by Frank Grillo, and I wondered what his name was last week. But he's much better here than in the Purge Anarchy, in my opinion. We get introduced to Joe Dixon, played by Mykelti Williamson, who I have seen in Forrest Gump, but don't remember him in it. But I do remember him in Fences from 2 years ago. I like him here. We also get introduced to Marcos, played by Joseph Julian Soria, something like that. Forgive me if I said that wrong. Who I've seen in Crank 2 High Voltage. And the last character we get introduced to in the deli is Lainey Rucker, played by Betty Gabriel, who I've reviewed before in Get the Motherfucker Out of Here, Get Out as for short. I'm having a good time with these characters. I do think When Foreigners Come to America Just to Purge was actually funny to me in a bland way. We get introduced to Kimmy in the deli, and the actress has that freaky, bitchy looking face, and she pulls that off very well, and I like when she comes back for the candy bar she tries to steal later in the film. There are some very haunting shots when we get to the Purge. For example, a guy being beheaded by an old school executioner and 3 people on a hood of a car, and those are brilliantly freaky shots. I love the car Kimmy arrives in with all those Christmas lights when she comes both times, and her mask that says "Kiss Me" was one freaky looking fucking mask. And I really like when Joe shoots a warning shot at her and she says, "I want my candy bar and I'm going to take it, and you don't have the balls to stop me." And suddenly Marcos shoots her in the ear and says, "I have the balls, now go." I thought that was a badass moment for Marcos. I think it's just great. Leo finds out his partner betrays him and takes out his team, including snipers. Was like, they're so fucked for the rest of the night. But Leo is much more of a badass here than he in Purge Anarchy, like I said before. I really love how Washington, D.C. is getting burned up and blood is written on the Lincoln Memorial that says Purge. It's all very fucking scary. It was really funny that the foreigners are dressed like Uncle Sam and the Statue of Liberty, and they're about to kill off Senator Roan, who's running for president, and Joe and Marcos come to the rescue. It was just hysterical. Is it just me, or is this movie's protagonist, which is Senator Roan, is being portrayed as Hillary Clinton, and the antagonist, that Minister Edwidge Owens, played by Kyle Secor, that's Donald Trump, right? I just have to be sure. It feels weird in the same year that presidential election happens. It was a little uncomfortable with... I was a little uncomfortable with that as the movie, might I add. It's just weird. I love the scene when Lainey comes and stops the candy girls, including Kimmy, who runs them over and shoots them up. It just felt very fucking awesome. The way Lainey shoots her ass up. The scene when Ronaldo, who was in handcuffs because he says he's going to purge once gets killed, while the handcuffs are still on him. I wish they would have took down the damn handcuffs off him so he doesn't have to be shot to death. That felt like it was my first problem with the movie, and probably, I don't know if it's the only time, but we'll see. Do you remember the Bloody Stranger from the first two movies? Well, he finally has a name, and it's Dante Bishop, played by Edwin Hodge. And I still don't give a shit about him, I hate to say, but I do like his arc of killing Minister Owens. I thought it was a nice trick to pull a string in an alleyway with the big-ass knife that felt like a trick from Saw 5, and it was much better handled here than in Saw 5. The new Founding Fathers of America capture Senator Roan and put her as a purge example in a church, and that was a very haunting scene until Leo, Joe, Laney, and Marcos with Dante and his group of mercenaries shoot up the church, and they lead Senator Roan to Minister Owens, and Dante almost kills him like he planned to, but realizes he's no better than Minister Owens, and Senator Roan finds out he has purge plans, and the purgers shoot up a parking lot. And Leo versus the main purger is such a brutal, bloody fight, which was a good fight, particularly since Leo's finger knife. I like that trick, and the pale priest shoots up Joe, and Joe shoots back, and both die, which a weird Mexican standoff, by the way. Senator Roan wins the election and stops the purge as a holiday, and that was a happy note of an ending to a series until we get the prequel, The First Purge, next week. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.4 out of 10. They did some stuff I like and some stuff I love seeing in a Purge movie, and the fact that he put Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump kind of election in this movie did make me uncomfortable. There were some weird, funny things in the movie and some incredibly haunting shots, and I like the characters better here than in the first two movies. This is probably by far the best of the Purge series. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with the first Purge. And until next time, toodaloo, Sandins.